Hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Because it is Tuesday, I'm going to be offering you a tool. I like to do Tuesday tools every week where I offer you a tip or a trick or something that you can take on to get a little bit closer to your freedom and your free self-expression. So I'm going to try to keep this video to under 30 minutes because the first video I did was over that limit, and I want to make sure that I am not just rambling, child, and going on for hours. So, I guess I need to wait while it spreads the word that this is going live. That's still awkward for me. Let me start by explaining who I am. My name is Adama Hamadi. I'm your delicious living coach. And what that means is that I help professional women that feel burned out, frustrated, and unfulfilled to get back in the driver's seat of their life. I focus on teaching women how to practice self-care, set boundaries, and be the person they want to be unapologetically, no matter who is watching. So, today I want to talk about a tool that has helped me. It's actually 6 tools, 6 pillars. 6 pillars for free spirit living. And what that means is these are 6 things. They're not necessarily steps, but they are 6 things that once you start implementing them into your life and once you start really living into them, you will notice that you're taking on a lot more comfort in your skin, that you are a lot more unapologetically confident, that you are speaking up for yourself, standing up for yourself, that you are telling the truth without fear or anxiety, that you are saying no without guilt, and that you are asking for more of what you want and therefore getting it. So if you are interested in living deliciously, if you are interested in living a fulfilled, free, joyous life that you don't need to run away from, if you are interested in being a sovereign woman that runs her own schedule and determines how she's going to live, then please listen up. If I say something that resonates with you, I would love to see some kind of engagement and get some comments. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have for me. And I'm really excited to get it popping. So let's go. So the 6 pillars that I want to share with you are all part of a signature system that I use. It is unique to me. It is something that I have used to guide my life and my journey out of people pleasing. And it's something that I use with clients and have them refer to often when they are trying to make decisions that match who they are rather than who they think they're supposed to be. So, again, they're not steps. It's not necessarily going in a sequential order, but it's a group of tools and things that you will need to implement together and refer to often while you are trying to move through your approval addiction, while you are trying to treat your imposter complex, while you are trying to make sense of who you are so you can embrace that and be that unapologetically. So the very first pillar, the pillars spelled out come out to the word fierce. F-I-E-R-C-E. And so, someone is texting me. It's really awkward. I thought I had set this on Do Not Disturb. Anyway, so, fierce is the system. And so there are 6 steps, F-I-E-R-C-E. And I'm going to go through them letter by letter to really break it down for you. So, the first letter is F. F stands for free up your calendar for me time. This means setting aside 10 minutes a day, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. Setting aside 10 minutes every day that you literally put in your planner to do something that feels good for you. And if you're not going to spend that time doing something that feels good, you're going to spend that time planning for the life that you want. But it is 10 minutes dedicated to you that needs to be unadulterated, that needs to be uninterrupted. You need to honor this time as you would a meeting. It is 10 minutes at the bare minimum. I like to set aside an hour a day. But, you know, you do what works for you, right? So that's that. Free up your calendar for me time. This step is important because it helps you to determine what matters to you and what doesn't. It helps you to determine who deserves your time and your energy and who doesn't. And most importantly, it reminds you that you're in charge of your time. You get to determine who gets on your schedule. And being on your schedule is a privilege, not a right. But it's something that you need to defend. So free up your calendar for me time. That's the first step. The second step, which I think might be the most important, is identify your invisible scripts. This is a tough one. Invisible scripts is a term that I borrowed from Ramit Sethi. He is the founder of I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He is a big time, I don't even know how to describe his title. I guess he helps people find their dream job or build their dream career. And he wants them to live a rich life, however they define that. But he explains that your invisible scripts are all the things you've told yourself about why you are the way you are and why you need to stay that way. And I would add one more step to that in this pillar of free spirit living, it's really important that you get clear on what your rules are. What are the rules that you've been living by, and who came up with those rules? What's your victim story? What's the story that you tell so often you've come to believe that it's true and you're stuck in it? What's the story of how you got to be where you are and how you're going to stay there forever and why? Who hurt you? Who's responsible for your circumstances? All of that goes into your invisible scripts, your playbook, your story. And this step is important because you cannot empower yourself until you get clear about what's been disempowering you. So when you identify the rules that you've been living by, and when you identify the things that you've been telling yourself to keep yourself stuck, all the reasons that you've justified not standing up for yourself, all the people that you've decided are better than you, all the reasons you've given that you don't deserve, blah, blah, and blah. Those are your invisible scripts. Those are things that you really need to pay attention to. Because until you can identify those, they're going to keep replaying and you're going to keep attracting things into your life to confirm and validate that those are true, even though they're not, actually. And I really put a lot of emphasis on this step because I genuinely believe that just because you think something, and even if you believe something, just because you think something does not mean that it's true. And there's a difference between what has actually happened and the story we make up about what happened. But sometimes we get so stuck in the meaning we've created and the why behind it and what it means about us that we lose sight of the fact that it was just a set of circumstances and we could have done whatever we wanted with those circumstances, but we kind of ran with it in a negative direction. So that's the I. The first E is to engage in extreme self-care. Self-care is a buzzword that gets thrown around all the time by coaches, by therapists, by social workers, by case managers. Self-care is that really sexy word that everyone loves to say, but very few people actually implement. Self-care is anything you do to protect your energy. And for people out here who have been resisting putting themselves first, I put them on a regimen of extreme self-care. Because in your mind, you've decided that taking care of yourself is selfish. So no matter what you do, it's not actually going to be as extreme as you think it is because you don't know how to put yourself first. But do the things that feel really extreme for you to recharge, to collect yourself, to center yourself, to get back to a version of you that doesn't feel tired and burned out all the time. This can look a number of different ways. It can look like getting a mani-pedi, although self-care is far more complex than that. It can look like taking a walk around the block, getting in some exercise, listening to really good music, lighting a beautiful scented candle, wearing smell goods, connecting or cuddling with somebody that you love. There are a lot of different self-care acts that you can take on. But when I say extreme, I mean it. This means setting up a whole plan for what you are going to do to protect your energy and what you're going to do to stay at your highest form as often as possible. I see that somebody is live, and I would love for you to tell me who you are and where you're watching me from in the comments. I promise I won't bite. I just want to know who you are because I feel like I've been talking to myself and this shit is awkward. Engage in extreme self-care. Sometimes it might mean doing acts like that. Sometimes it might mean setting really strict boundaries and weaning yourself off of toxic or unhealthy relationships. It might mean identifying the energy drainers and the emotional vampires and the Debbie Downers in your life and kind of distancing yourself from them. Even if those people are family, it means giving yourself permission to kind of separate yourself from shit that doesn't feel good or people that don't feel good, right? So that's the first E, engage in extreme self-care. The R in the system is to reject your rejectors. This one is hard for a lot of people. To reject your rejectors, there are a lot of different ways you can interpret that. The first way is to remember that, hey, Tanisha, watching from your bubble bath, you are a creep. But I am so glad that you consider this useful enough to put it on while you are in the bath. That's some real self-care right there. That's right. So, reject your rejectors means identifying possible roadblocks, getting very clear about things that might get in the way or ways that you might relapse. And one of my favorite questions to ask people when they're trying to identify their rejectors or when they're trying to reject their rejectors is, what is your favorite way to self-sabotage? In other words, if you were going to do some shit to fuck up this journey to where you say you want to be, how would you do it? I know that my favorite way to self-sabotage is to procrastinate and wait till the very last minute so that I can say, damn, I didn't get a chance to do it, but I guess it wasn't meant to be, right? Procrastination is my favorite way to not actually do what I said I was going to do. And it makes it really easy for me to confirm that there wasn't enough time or that it wasn't meant to be or that this isn't for me. When really it just means, bitch, you were being lazy and you ain't feel like doing it, which is fine. Rejecting your rejectors means getting clear on the ways that you might self-sabotage yourself, getting clear on and anticipating potential roadblocks, deciding that your worth is never on the line, and avoiding people or things that or negatively affect your self-esteem. If you know there are people in your life that don't know how to give constructive criticism, that don't know how to be supportive, that are just unwilling or unable to be champions for who you are trying to grow into, then reject your rejectors might mean weaning yourself off of those relationships and distancing yourself. It's telling me my connection is weak, so I'm going to try and rush through these last two letters. So the C in the system is to communicate with power. That means to stop using disclaimers before you say something. That means to stop apologizing when an apology is not warranted. That means to say no as if that is a complete sentence with no justification behind it. That means asserting yourself confidently, negotiating for what you know you deserve, and asking for what you want without fear. Let me correct that. Not asking for what you want without fear, but asking for what you want in spite of your fear because you know that you deserve it and you know that only you can get it for you. Communicating with power is a very important step. And the last letter in the system, the second E, is express, don't impress. This refers to the idea of avoiding the urge or resisting the urge to compare. You set your own standard of beauty. You get to decide what success looks like, and you run with that. I see there's another person. Please tell me your name and where you are watching this from. I am so grateful for you. It basically means stop waiting for permission. Give yourself the green light. Be you unapologetically. Say what needs to be said. Tap into your creativity every day. And basically, stop waiting for confirmation that you're doing things the right way. And let it be okay for you to do things your way. So those are the 6 pillars of my signature fierce formula for free spirit living. I'm going to repeat them again very quickly. And once that is done, I'm going to tell you how you can get help implementing this in your life. First step, free up your calendar for me time. Second, identify your invisible scripts. Third, engage in extreme self-care. Fourth, reject your rejectors. Fifth, communicate with power. And finally, express, don't impress. This is a system that's going to take a lot of time. And if you are at all familiar with the stages of change, welcome, second person. Please announce yourself. I want to know who you are and where you're watching this from. And thank you very much for coming in. So, someone keeps coming in and then disappearing. I'm not sure. Anyway. So, if you want to find yourself comfortable in your skin, knowing that you don't need to prove yourself to anybody, making decisions from a place of self-love rather than fear, honoring your own personal promises with the same passion and commitment that you honor everyone else's expectations, then this system is a must-have for you. It's a tool or 6 tools that once you start implementing them into your life, you'll start living a life that matches who you are and not just who you thought you were supposed to be. So if you have questions about how to implement that, you can find me at my website, dreamleaplive.com, or you can visit my landing page. It's bit.ly, bit.ly /live deliciously. If you are watching this video, that means you probably have seen that I have at Dream Leap Live on Facebook or at Dream Leap Live on Twitter /Periscope. Make sure you're following me there so that you can get access to even more videos. I hope that this was helpful. And if you have questions about, how to implement these steps, you know where to find me, dreamleaplive.com, or you can find me at Dream Leap Live on Facebook or on Twitter. So let's get on the phone and figure out how we are going to help you find your fierce and live deliciously. In the meantime, go on and get yours. I will see you very soon.